Hello and welcome to the Stronghold Digital Mining Daily Update. Today is Friday, July 14th, 2023. Let's get right into the numbers. First slide, please. Okay, so here we have a 48-hour average, so not just one day, but 2 days. PJM Penelec, $51.25. That is the average over 2 days. PJM PPNL, $47.12. Again, that's an average over 2 days. Now, here's the really crucial number. Bitcoin priced in dollars per megawatt hour, $97.51. That is absolutely phenomenal as a 2-day average. It really, really is. Bitcoin, the spot price of Bitcoin averaged out over 2 days, $30,848 with a Bitcoin network hash rate of 351. Okay, back to me, please. Now, the reason why, of course, I'm doing this today and covering 2 days is because yesterday we kind of got a bit deeper into some of the stories that have been written about Bitcoin, production costs and how Stronghold Digital Mining, at least during Q1 2023, according to one research firm, was the low-cost producer amongst publicly traded Bitcoin mining companies, which is like really great news. I'm actually working on another more in-depth research piece. Let's put up this slide, please. So yeah, this gives you a little bit of a hint as to what we're going to talk about. Okay, back to me, please. And I'll give you a hint. It has to do with this question that's come up. It's basically sort of like a hypothetical scenario that's envisioned by the algorithm that I created that sort of like governs the dashboard, right? The Designer.com dashboard. There are situations in which the dashboard envisions that we could potentially make even more money by doing the following. Okay, now follow along. It's a little bit tricky, but basically imagine a situation where we basically sell power to the grid. Okay, so it's economically advantageous for us to sell electricity to the grid. Furthermore, imagine that we could import electricity from the grid to mine Bitcoin potentially simultaneously. Hey, wait a minute. That maybe doesn't make sense. Well, that's why we're going to get into it in a lot more detail, more than likely on Monday, if not potentially over the weekend, but I think more realistically on Monday. I don't know that we're actually doing this at the moment. I am doing quite a bit of research to see if it's something that's even practical to do. You know what I mean? Like from an economic, financial standpoint, it definitely makes a lot of sense, at least based on my preliminary calculations and sort of the way that the dashboard envisions the math working out. But, from a logistical standpoint, trying to figure out, okay, do you have one set of wires that then have like a so-called tap substation designation into a distribution line? Do you potentially then have to like create another so-called, tap substation that then brings electricity back into the plant? There's a lot going on with this, but the reason why this may very well be extremely relevant as time goes on is because I foresee a situation where we will have Bitcoin priced in dollars per megawatt hour that will potentially be sustainably higher than grid prices. However, we may have many times during a day where our net cost of power is lower than grid pricing. So we could essentially double dip in a way, right? We use all roughly 165 megawatts, right, at both Scrubgrass and Panther Creek cumulatively. We sell that to the grid, right? The electricity we produce, we sell it to the grid. Then we are simultaneously importing grid prices. So like, for example, say grid prices, to keep the math easy, let's say they're at $80, okay? And Bitcoin priced in dollars per megawatt hour is say $100 or $120. So you can have a situation where we very lucratively and profitably sell electricity that we produce ourselves into the grid, but then simultaneously import electricity from the grid to mine Bitcoin. There is a question that's come up is like, well, hey, wait, wouldn't it just make more economic sense to just use the electricity you're creating to just mine Bitcoin? Wouldn't the margins be the same? This is what we're going to get into when we sort of do the math, okay? But I think there's an argument to be made for at least being open-minded to this as a possibility, if in fact it's even technically possible to do. And I'm trying to do a bunch of research ahead of time and not just toss out a random idea like this, even though, yes, I've talked about it before. But let's sort of see what I come up with. There's some really fascinating things that I've been able to discover already, which I think are quite thought-provoking. Okay, stock market, it looks like the entire Bitcoin mining ecosystem decided to take a break today. So be it. I mean, this entire sector has been on a complete tear, right? The past couple of weeks. Hey, to the extent that we need to take a breather, we need to kind of, scale back a little bit. So be it. It is what it is. Okay, let's stay positive though. Let's continue to strive to be great, and we'll see each other again on Monday.